Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 28th meeting of the directors, school board directors of the Waynesboro Area School District. Please stand for our pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's go ahead and start with roll call.
Mrs. Strike.
Here.
Mrs. Harold.
Here.
Mrs. Fortney.
Here.
Dr. Royer.
Here.
Mr. Marvin.
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Here.
Mrs. Zimmerman.
Here.
Mrs. Miles.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here. Okay, thank you. And so now we will have a motion for approval of the agenda. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and we have some
Additions.
Additions?
So, what I'd like to do is if we go to under business, it is one of the second readings of policy 200 eligibility of non-resident students. I'm requesting that we remove that from the agenda in order to review in policy later on this month. There was just one additional change we had to make. So there's two policies for consideration. I'm requesting that we remove the eligibility for non-resident students policy 200.
You said non-resident, but it's 202.
202.
Okay.
All right,
Mr. Smith, we also added the one agenda item C4. My apologies.
Yeah, I apologize. Yes, that would be correct. In other words, what we did, if you recall last week, we approved the course selection guide. And then we asked to table the graduation requirements. The graduation requirements are now submitted for review. We met as an academic committee and revisions were made or reviewed, I should say. So that item was also added.
okay. Thank you. Any other additions or deletions to the policy? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Did we get a motion? I didn't hear
We did.
James and
Move to approve as amended.
And I abstain.
All right, can we second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And so, okay. Move to approval of the minutes from the February 14th meeting. Get a motion?
Yeah, move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'd like to offer a warm welcome to Dr. Todd Deshawn, who is officially at the table this week. And so he began last Tuesday. And so we want to welcome him. He's had the opportunity to visit all our schools, meet with various principals. And so we're very excited to have him on board.
You.
Oh, I have more. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
And also, in addition to Todd, Dr. Todd Deshawn coming up, a lot of excitement this past week. We had celebrated music in our schools. 448 students were performing at the Oyer Auditorium, did an outstanding job. We also at the same time had an art show. I believe we had 4 wrestlers who made it to districts. I'm looking at Riley because I don't want to steal any of her thunder. Sorry, I'm sorry, girl. I don't know who they are, so maybe you can name them. Okay, so I know we had 4 wrestlers who made it to districts. Our basketball team did have a district win over the weekend. Unfortunately, last night they did lose to Reading, which I was completely intrigued with, and I found out it is the largest high school in the entire state of Pennsylvania. So a lot of people made the road trip yesterday, 2 hours and 16 minutes. The boys did a really nice job, but unfortunately,
They did a great job.
yeah, but it was a great game. Also, just later on in the agenda, we're just going to again look at the district calendar for the next school year. I did conduct a FID survey of faculty and staff. I had 288 responses. And I also conducted a FID day survey of parents or guardians, and I am pleased to announce that I had 478 parents or guardians who responded. So I'll be reporting out on the responses in terms of, managing by fact and looking at the best possible option for our learners next year in terms of balancing the possibility of snow days, FID days, or a combination of both. So the calendar that we're just looking at again today has the snow days built in with the understanding that we could utilize those 5 FID days. However, based on the survey results, we might be making some accommodations. I will communicate those, and those will be available for hopefully board approval by March 14th meeting.
You. And now, do we have any public comment today? Okay, thank you. And board reports, anyone?
Academic committee has been working with the high school admin, trying to nail down the schedule, and I think we've come to a happy ending with that. So the course selection book that'll be approved here should wrap that up and let them go full steam ahead for next year's schedule and get signing up and all that.
Thank you.
Personnel committee has met.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Facilities met last week. Some more work to be done with the various projects that are happening. We're voting on one of the things related to the work that'll be happening related to the Giza tonight. At a later meeting, we'll vote on another contract also related to the Giza project, which is a lot of that ESSER funding. That work is being done. So we have a lot of projects lined up for this summer that because of lead times, we're getting started off now, and just compliments to Mr. Adams and the maintenance team with their ability to just close out tickets. They are working very hard and being able to close out a whole bunch of the maintenance tickets as well. And I think we see that kind of reflected around the district. So a big thank you to Mr. Adams and his team as they kind of help care for the physical needs, so to speak, of the district.
Policy committee met and finished the 2 policies that are on here, although we pulled the one for some more work. We also started work on the wellness policy and finished suspension and expulsion. And next we'll be looking at policies for homelessness, foster care, and homeschool.
Thank everyone. And so now we move on to Student Board Representatives Report, Marion Riley.
Okay, so Dr. Sternheim did steal some of my thunder, but we're gonna start with the boys basketball team. So yeah, even though they did have that tough loss yesterday, just looking back at their season and how remarkable they did, even all our winter sports with our swim team coming in with the girls getting the mid-pen spot and everything. Our girls basketball winning as many games as they have. Our girls basketball team does definitely have that bright future ahead of us, with them starting to build the program up and get everything going. Also, just our fan base and our community, like Dr. Sternheim did say, we all made that 2-hour and 16-minute travel to support our boys. And we had posters as they were leaving throughout the high school now by the athletic office with Marla and everything. So just truly showing our borough pride in our community. Our student council completed their service project this year. So we did switch this up this year. Normally we did Red Cross. So we would have the Red Cross come in and we would have our students prepare and some of our faculty donate blood. But we had new advisors this year and we came up and thought we could do something new and switch it up. So we decided to go and make a meal for our homeless shelter. And we had different shifts. So we had shopping. So we were getting all the ingredients. We wanted to make spaghetti, salad, garlic bread. And then we had Mrs. Shaw's class make a dessert. So we were trying to incorporate as many people as possible. And then so we had the shopping, we had the shifts for the cooking and the actual preparing the meal. And then we had the cleanup. So getting ready to really get out, meet the people, and then clean up.
So FBLA does reports to show what they have done throughout the year and what have they accomplished. There's multiple different reports. There's community service, there's business, and then we send them off to get to states, basically. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't, but this year we are going to states for our reports. And then we will present them in front of judges and hope we go even further.
All right, so we're gonna switch it to the senior spotlight now. So they did make a wall right outside of the guidance counseling office. So we have a wall that's called the senior spotlight wall. So as we are getting our future plans and we're starting to decide where we're moving on, they put us up there on the board. So I did commit to Shippensburg University. So my new mascot is going to be the Raiders. So you have the Raider symbol and then you have my name under it, along with many other people. And then Mr. Hoffman came and crashed our English classes and was getting us doing a little check-in to see where we were going, making sure that we had the proper paperwork filled out, like the FAFSA, making sure we do have those final transcript requests for people like me who did commit so that we can pull our final transcripts, and then etc. Just checking in, see where everyone is, telling us not to freak out as we have less than 2 semesters to go and all of that.
And then we also have the Rotary speech coming up. It is available to everybody in the school, but all FBLA members are actually participating in it. The first place prize is $300, second place $200, third place $100, and you will basically go in front of Rotary members, present your speech for 5 to 7 minutes, and they will judge you and help you win. And then a week away, not this weekend, but next weekend, is the Oscar production Matilda. If you were at the Rotary lunch today, actually, 2 of the members performed a song from their production, and I actually really want to go to it since Matilda is one of my favorites and everything. And we hope you guys come to support our 13 seniors that are in the production.
All right, and as basketball is over, it's time for baseball and our spring sports, which means spring weather, warm weather, and most importantly, prom. And of course, yes, I got my dress and my shoes, but yes, prom is what I'm looking forward to next as a senior next year.
No, my friend invited me.
Really? Okay. But yeah, so looking forward to prom. We are having it at Green Grove Garden, so being able to experience that and my last prom and all that good stuff, right? And then that is it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Thank you, ladies. Lots of exciting things happening.
Can I ask how the Brain Busters team made out the other Sunday? Did they won? Yes. Wow.
We have to go to the mic.
Okay, go to the mic.
You gotta get the mic.
I saw they were going, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, they, the televised one, they won, and they next air. It's the Saturday of Easter weekend, I believe. So if anybody has that date, I think it might be
It would be the 8th.
the 8th. So I believe it's on maybe 11 or 11:30
On
on
Saturday.
yeah,
Okay.
on the 8th. So yeah, and I think trying to think who I can check in my text to see.
Okay. I saw they were competing, but I hadn't heard anything more.
Yes,
Thank
yep.
you.
So that's the next time.
Okay. Thank you. And like I said, lots of great things happening, and congratulations to the winter sports teams for advancing. And let's move on. As seniors, I heard the word seniors, senioritis, hold off for just a little, like maybe another month or 2 or 3, hold off. Okay, let's move down to our first item for business. And that is personnel. Dr.
DeShawn's.
Dr.
I'm gonna do that one, but I do want to thank Dr. Sternheim for the warm welcome and everybody's warm welcome. It is great to be part of Waynesboro. I had the opportunity to go to induction yesterday and meet with the new teachers, and I had asked them who they've all been here many months. They've been here since August or whatever. And I said, what do you appreciate about Waynesboro? And, you know, there was, I don't know, there was about 25 people there and they all went, I said, just, you know, say in a sentence and everybody said a couple sentences, but it was really echoing what a great place Waynesboro was, how they enjoyed the collaboration, being treated as professionals, just the support, the welcoming that everybody gave. And I kind of like, I wiped my brow and said, I'm glad to hear that positive message, right? So I'm not gonna sleep. And I slept better last night. So, you know, but really, I said the same thing and echo what they said. So I really appreciate it. I have had the opportunity to visit with all the fine administrators and I'm starting to get into classrooms, but I just look forward to working with everyone in the room and out there watching and in the buildings, working alongside of each and every one of you to continue to educate and empower all the students for future success to fulfill the mission here at Waynesboro. So thank you very much. So if you all can check out the personnel, we have a couple things there, the administrative stipend, the resignations for the support staff, the change in hours with the support staff, the appointment of support staff and the appointment of coaching staff and the support staff substitute. And then moving on there is also the other appointments, the other appointments of the support staff. And then the request for leave there, I think there's 3 of them there for the request for leave. So making those recommendations. So.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the personnel as listed?
Move to approve. Second.
Questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, bus van drivers. Postman.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We just have 2 drivers. They're district employees. They've met the criteria for our insurance purposes and we're asking for approval.
Okay, motion to approve the bus van drivers as listed.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Now we move down to discussion of the 2023-24 school calendar.
So this is not the first time you've seen the calendar, but once again, we're looking at it again today. Just as an FYI, if we look at compromising on like the FID days, snow days, we could look at maybe continuing with the practice of having December 22nd, February 19th, have those as utilize the snow days, and then maybe utilize the March 28th and April 8th as days that are off. That would extend the Easter break. Easter is a little earlier this year, and then we would utilize the FID days. So again, hoping to, take the information I gathered from the survey, share that in the Friday folder with a final determination then for review in March. But if anyone has any specific questions, I can answer them at this time or.
So they'll be added to this calendar then? You'll indicate what you're doing with that on the calendar, or will that just be like an internal?
Well, what I'm gonna do is I already have it in the Friday folder, the
Okay.
survey results. And so then based on those surveys and then, combination of, we have an admin cabinet meeting on Thursday. I'll be making a recommendation. You'll see it prior to the March 14th. But in light of the conversation that we had last year up until July, I thought we'd go ahead and make
So
sure.
we can just approve the calendar and then approve that as a separate item that you'll add to the calendar then?
Well, my
You know,
concern right now is I don't want to, because it exists as possible snow days. I mean,
Okay.
if the board would like to go ahead and approve, and I could change the calendar based on the possibility of adding those, taking two snow days off and then just converting into FID days, that's also a possibility.
So that's what you plan to do, is taking the last 2 snow days and making them.
I'm
fit.
still exploring all
Okay,
the results, and we have an admin cabinet
Okay.
meeting, so I'd like one more look at it.
Okay, that's
So,
fine. Yeah.
I just,
fine.
I just know last year there were like a couple times like where we've already discussed certain items. And I just want to make sure it's in front of everyone and we know.
Yeah,
what-
no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we approve what you needed.
Yeah,
to
we're
move
just
forward.
looking at it again, guys. So I apologize. Like,
Okay.
one more look.
One more look.
And then what we will do then is I will follow up with more specifics about, again, I was very interested in knowing what the teachers were thinking, but I'm also obviously very cognizant of how it impacts our families. And it's interesting. I'll share that it's basically like 45% versus 48% preferring the FID days. I mean, the snow days went out at 48% from parents' perspective versus the 47%, 45%, I should say, with the FID days. So it's going to keep, reviewing and I have a recommendation for you in the Friday folder and a full recommendation based on admin input after Thursday.
Okay.
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 Fine.
All right, so let's move down to course selection guide, graduation requirements. And the motion is to approve the graduation requirements for the 23-24 course selection guide. And that's detailed requirement progression plan for all WASHS learners. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And next we move to a second reading of policies.
Yeah,
Dr.
that's
Smith?
fine. So I'd ask that we would look at policy 200 enrollment of students. So the information is listed there. The policy committee has reviewed this particular policy. So the recommendation is to approve the second reading of this policy.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the second reading of policies 200 and 202?
No, we're not doing.
Not just 200, 200, scratch that.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Overnight trip.
Okay, within the board docs, you will have you have a request for the chess team for an overnight trip, March 18th and 19th. So the recommendation is to approve. As noted, number of students going is 7.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve overnight trip for the chess team?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we have a motion to approve the A1A, AIA, and fees agreement with Crabtree, Robaugh and Associates using ESSER funds for completion of the guaranteed energy saving projects. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
So if you remember, just a little very brief history on this, we really have a GIZA project that we'll be approving at the next board meeting with McClure. So they're going to be doing the work, but it was the will of the board, the facilities committee, to also have our architects reviewing what work was being done to make sure it was abiding by our requirements and our preferences. So this is that agreement. It's taken a while. But we have the agreement here with Crabtree, who we have used for, I don't know, at least 10 years as our architect. So this is for them. They basically, I don't want to use the phrase oversee because that's not the case, but what they're doing is they're reviewing the work that's being submitted in for our GIZA project, and they're making sure that it's abiding by the requirements we so desire. So it kind of gives you a little bit more control than having it all with just one party.
so the motion is to approve the AIA and fees agreement with Crabtree, Robaugh and Associates using ESSER funds for completion of the guaranteed energy savings projects.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
And now District Financial Services.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we've been looking at other options for financial services for the district itself. We currently use actually 2 different companies, believe it or not, in the area. We use one because we have tax collectors that live in the north side of the district. It makes it convenient for them. And then we also use another institution here locally. What we decided to do was do an RFP, a request for proposal, that went out to look at banking services. These are basically our banking services for the So we did receive 3 competitive offers. They were all good professional organizations. There's no issues with any of the companies. They're all qualified, but we did go through a scoring rubric. Based primarily on location and also no fees for some of the services. We're recommending F&M at this point. We currently do use F&M for some of our district funds today. So it is a familiar company and organization. Logistically, they're here in town and they're also on the north side of the district, which makes that pretty easy as well. In terms of interest rates and such between the different companies, I would say between 2 of them, and I think we kind of gave you some information there on the scoring rubric, 2 of them, they were really spot on with each other. The other one, I think there was a little bit concern with flexibility on what the rates could be as in lower potentially. So what we're doing is coming back and kind of giving the recommendation to go ahead and go with F&M. We think we can make this happen by July 1st, hopefully sooner than that, preferably.
Thank you. So the motion tonight is to approve choosing F&M Trust as the district's financial services institution with implementation on or prior to July 1st, 2023.
Yes.
Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, questions?
I'll just comment briefly. We talked a little bit about this in the budget committee and we are kind of for this. I used to do training for the financial institution I'm a part of. And I always say banking is about relationships. If you can't work well with your banker, you're not going to trust them. And so I think for our district, particularly with our business office and members of our business office, they have expressed certain frustrations with our current banking and would like to make the change. And so I think we are for moving towards this, towards F&M Trust. Even though I personally work for a competitor, I have nothing but good things to say about F&M Trust. I know a lot of folks that work over there. They're a great organization and a great community bank, and I think they'll do a great job for the district.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. We move now to our bus routing software program.
Yes, sir. So we have a current bus routing software program that we use, but we have had some issues. I think some of this came up during the attendance zone process, if I remember correctly. And so we had some good direction and some goals to go ahead and look at a new company starting with the next fiscal year. We looked at 5 different companies. We talked to each one of them, tried to understand how good they were from a Pennsylvania perspective, obtained references, things of that nature. We ended up landing on this one company here. And we chose that company for a couple of reasons. One, we thought the pricing was very competitive with the other ones, but also there's about 7 other districts in our intermediate unit that currently use that same software program. And so our transportation coordinator was able to go sit down with 2 of them and spend a couple hours with their transportation departments and kind of get a little bit of a practice and a little understanding of it, which I think increased the comfort zone with that software. So we're coming back recommending the company. The bus company is called TransFinder is what they do, but they will be basically our bus routing software will transition away from Orbit then at the end of the year here. We do have 2 pieces to the agreement. One is basically to start the services a little early. That's at an extra $1,600, which gets us up to July 1. So we can get this implemented, start moving the transition, get the routes over, and then we go fully into the contracts. First year is always more because it's part of the whole implementation, but then it drops down in subsequent years. At this point, this company does offer other services for busing. We're not recommending at this point because we think we need to try to really learn it, make sure we like it and absorb it. But down the road, they do have options such as putting GPS in buses and things of that nature. Obviously, it's an additional cost, but you can tie that into student apps. You can tie that into notification systems and things of that nature. We're not recommending that at this point, but it does have that option and flexibility down the road.
So the motion is to approve the 3-year agreement with bus routing software along with the prorated service fee for the initial setup and training with TransFinder. Do you have a motion?
Approve.
Second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Next, we move to our softball batting cage replacement.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sorry. So softball batting cage. We've had some problems with the softball batting cage in two areas. One is, of course, the netting, which does become a little bit of a problem itself, but also the ground itself. It's not really a concrete base. It's been a sod slash astroturf over top of it. We've had problems with that area for quite a while. What we're recommending is basically replacing that. Put a little bit more parity along with what the baseball team has, but it would become a concrete base. And then Mr. McElwain's working on trying to find some covering, some astroturf covering to put over top of that as well, to do that. But what this will do is require us to dismantle and take apart this old one and then put the new one in installed. The good news is that between Wayback and the Owls Club, we have about $8,500 towards this project. So very generous of them to do that as well. The cost here you see is about $95.59 for the equipment and about $7,600 there for the installation of it.
We have about half of it covered.
We have about half
already.
of it covered from donations, which is again, very nice, very wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Helserman.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the replacement of the softball batting cage from Batting Cages, Inc. at a cost of $9,559.33 plus $7,595 for installation by Hess Custom Builders.
Move to approve.
Second,
Okay, questions?
I have a question, just a comment. If we're going to buy new stuff, especially with donated funds, I would just encourage our athletic teams to take care of it so that it lasts. So I'm for this, but I do, if we're gonna buy something new, I want it to be taken care of, is kind of my only comment on it. So, but it needs to be done and I'm for doing it, so.
this is the field at the middle school, correct?
Yes, ma'am,
That's the
that's correct.
softball field.
Yeah, right at the,
How-
below the
How
source.
old is that current?
Quite old.
The problem is it sits out in the winter. Again, I can't speak for last year. Previous years, a lot of stuff was just left out. I don't know how there's long supposed to last. I don't know how long batting cage supposed to last.
Certainly not forever because it is a nylon product, so it does. And a good bit of the problem we had was also just the foundation. It's more of a sod compacted area with gravel in there, and that has just been problematic for years.
So this will be better.
Yeah, this will be concrete. So, and then we'll have astroturf on the top of it is what our goal is with Mr. McElwain.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Hooverville Elementary Facility request.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We have a request. This is something just from a process perspective. We were doing building tours of each building as part of the facilities committee the last couple meetings, last couple months. And as part of those tours, obviously the principals will take the committee around and they'll point out issues or things that are a concern for them. And so coming from Hooverville, this is probably several months ago, I think it took us to come together and we had a longer list than this, but we kind of worked through some items. Some items might have to get delayed in terms of more of a capital nature. But we did have a couple of requests. One was to replace folding chairs. We believe we can get those folding chairs for about $2,700 from Amazon. Of note, I think if I remember correctly, we've had 4 or 5 principals who have commented about the rusted in very poor condition chairs. So this is not a recent issue. We've been dealing with this for quite a long time. And then also the curtains themselves on the front and back stage for about $4,970 and replacing of carpeting in room 102 for $5,244. That current carpeting in that room is torn up. It has a lot of rips and tears. It's duct taped in several sections. Normally we would recommend putting down like LVT flooring, a vinyl flooring product, but it's a kindergarten. The kids spend a lot of time on the ground. So that's why we're recommending replacing it with the carpeting. So those are the 3 items that we kind of took to the facilities committee. Now we're bringing them up to the board.
You're recommending carpeting the whole kindergarten room?
Just that room. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the pre-K counselor room or is that just a regular kindergarten?
It's at Hooverville. It's one of the
Yeah.
kindergarten
It's
classrooms.
Hooverville regular.
So it's, which room? It's on the room to the left or right? Right? There's 2 kindergarten rooms right near the faculty room area as you go down that hallway.
All right, so we have a motion to purchase of replacement folding chairs at a cost of $2,700 from Amazon, replacement of the front and backstage curtains for $49.70 from Lorraine Interiors, and replacement of carpeting in room 102 for $5,244 from Waddles Carpet. Have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Any other questions or comments?
How many folding chairs do you get for $2,700?
120. I should have put that in there, but it's a good question. Yeah, thanks.
I would just like to say that I would like to still pursue the library facilities, that the desks and chairs there could still be looked at. I know there was a pricing issue perhaps on that a little bit, but hope we can find the funds to do that.
Yeah, I know the building principal has been working on multiple quotes, so.
Working a whole lot.
Okay.
Just a comment, the curtains are in much need of replacement, as in the sense that there's a nice hole kind of right at eye level. Which no longer functions as a curtain at that point, so definitely in need of replacement there.
Any other
Yeah,
comments?
I'm just gonna go on record. I'm not gonna vote no, but I guess I'm surprised that we're knowing all we know about allergens and everything else, that we're putting carpet in a kindergarten classroom. I can't imagine that our architects would think that that's a good idea. So I'm just stating a fact. I just think with dirt and what we all know about carpet, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. And Comcast Cable Communication Agreement, Management Agreement. Come to the mic, please.
Yeah.
So for your approval tonight, it is our 3-year cycle for our additional internet here at the district. For your approval tonight is a 3-year agreement with Comcast for $1,250 a month, and that is pre-E-rate discount. This year, while it does help us out budget wise, our free and reduced numbers were increased for this E-rate cycle. So currently for this year, there's going to be an 80% discount rate. Previously, we've been at 60%. So we're essentially going to be paying $250 a month for this service for this upcoming year. And this is a 3-year agreement. So if anybody has any E-rate questions, I don't really want to bore you with all those questions if you don't have them.
We're getting better service for less money.
We are.
Okay.
Yes, we are. We are going to get more service for less money. Yeah.
Versus 2,000 and.
Yeah,
less
so
money.
currently, when we're paying right around $1,584 a month right now for that.
And this is all 3 years of this contract then.
Yes, $1,250 for all 3 years.
Wow.
Mhm. And so the E-rate discount rate is a year-to-year rate. So previously for the last, I don't know, 12 years that I've been doing E-rate here, our discount rate's been 60%. But this year it has gone up to 80%. And that's based off a percentage of our enrollment and the free and reduced lunch count for the district. And that number gets adjusted year after year at this point.
Mary, you have a question?
No, it's just this first year. So each year we, based on our free and reduced count that the food service department provides PDE every November. Then I go in and input those numbers into a portal with USAC. And then that's when it spits out based on our enrollment and our free and reduced lunch count. It's a formula that they do in the background. So.
Okay, and my question is, this was already in your budget from last year, correct?
Yes, this is something that we budget each year. And one interesting thing with E-rate, and Mr. Holtzman and I work really close together. Per the E-rate guidelines, we do have to budget the full amount of the cost in the budget. We cannot budget the discounted amount. So that's why when I reference pre-E-rate and post-E-rate, we always have to budget the pre-E-rate amount. Any other questions? We'll get more into E-rate on the next line item too. And this is for category 1 E-rate funding.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start a motion to approve the Comcast Cable Communications Management E-rate 3-year EDI service agreement pending solicitor approval.
Oh, we did get a solicitor approval for
We did?
this agreement. Yes, we
Oh.
did. Yes.
Branch that. Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to. Second.
Okay, any other questions?
Good job, Nick.
All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Thank you. And now we go down to category 2.
Yes, so E-rate is, there's a category 1 E-rate classification, and there's a category 2 E-rate classification. Category 1 covers internet connections and fiber connections out on the pole, dark fiber, lit fiber, leased fiber, a whole bunch of stuff. But this is for category 2, which includes a lot of our internal connections, which are firewalls, networking, infrastructure, wiring, internal fiber, switches, wireless access points, controllers, caching servers, and so forth. So for fiscal year 21 to 25, our pre-E-rate budget is $750,164. Up until this year, we've already utilized $259,806 of that. So we do have a remaining balance of around $490,357 dollars. So what I am asking for approval here is a 5-year 24/7 4-hour support, and including full installation of a replacement firewall for the district. The pre-E-rate amount is $253,947. Out of that, E-rate does classify, because this is a bundled UTM device, threat protection, and so forth for the district. I believe it's only, I have it written down here and I don't know, it's either 48 or 52% eligible of that full amount. So as the district share, we get 80% back for essentially that 52% of eligible services. And then we're required to pay the remaining 20%. And then those ineligible services, we would then pay the full amount. Those are about 140,000. The rest will be paid by E-rate. So about 103,000 will be paid by E-rate. And then that's all going to be funded by the Fund 32 Capital Reserve Fund that we have in the district. And that's where we purchase a lot of our E-rate hardware and infrastructure purchases from. So I know that number is a large number, but that is for 5 whole years. And the main reason we're asking for this is because we did get our current firewall about 7 years ago. And that was a 5-year agreement. And we've been just renewing that 24/7 4-hour response time each year for the last 2 years, and it'll end to June 30th. And that device is actually going into life at the end of this cycle. So I think it's next December it goes into life. So we're trying to get ahead of that so that we can install it this summer. And for this motion right now, I'm asking basically for approval of this, but this is also pending USAC and E-rate approval. If we don't get that, then we'll determine next steps at that point. Typically, everything that we submitted for, we've gotten, but it is also pending the approval of the 23-24 budget. And if that is not approved, that expenditure for the 23-24 budget, I'll just simply fill out a RAL form, and that'll go back into our budget. But with the E-rate cycle, I have to have all of this submitted by March 23rd, I think it is. So.
Okay. So the motion is to approve category 2 E-rate proposal for district firewall replacement as presented to Integra 1 for E-rate filing purposes. And the PO will follow after USAC FCDL, knowing all this things, and final 23-24 budget approval.
USAC funding commitment decision letter.
Thank you. You have a motion?
motion to approve. Second.
Questions? Any other questions or
I have a
comments?
question based on funding. So this is supposed to come out of Fund 32. Do we need to move more money into that?
So you did make a transfer last year into there, and I believe I asked Mrs. Truax, and I think she told me there's 254,000 in there right now.
Oh.
So we have enough to cover that.
Yeah.
And
That's
also,
fairly
yeah, and there will be maybe a small, I was going to hold off on our uninterruptible power supplies. I was going to try to do that at the end of this fiscal cycle for E-rate, but with our discount being 80% this year, I probably want to move forward with that because based on preliminary numbers, and I'm waiting to get those bids back, and that's going to probably be for approval at the next meeting. It's only going to cost us like $12,000. So it's a big discount. So I think I may move forward with that this year as well.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Nick, are you?
Yep,
Same thing,
that's me.
Comcast
Oh,
Enterprise
yeah.
and Service?
It's a busy time of the year. You'll see me this meeting, next meeting, the following. Yep, you'll see me every meeting from here on out probably. So this is for our telephone service here at the district. Right now we utilize a PRI line with 23 channels. Unfortunately, this is not E-ratable. That became an un-E-ratable service about 6 years ago. Currently, we're paying about $489 a month. And that includes all of our local and long distance calling. And this is a 3-year contract for the PRI line. It did go up $4.
Wow.
They want to start charging us for a trunk service, and I'm not sure why. I asked them and they said it's a new charge that they have started to impose on companies. And I said, okay. So it's $493 a month now. So, and with the amount of long distance and local that we have, we are well under the swings of long distance calls and everything like that. So there's no reason to include any more minutes or calls at this point in time. So we've stayed right at that for probably the last 6 years. So.
Solicitor approved this as well?
Yes, this
Okay.
is solicitor approved. That came in yesterday in the afternoon. So, yep.
So the motion is to approve a 3-year Comcast Enterprises Services telephone agreement.
Move to approve?
Second.
Questions? Comments? All those in favor? Oh, do we have, yes, Mary?
So E-rate, E-rate is a fund that is managed by USAC, which is kind of a branch of the FCC. And so there's a fund that supplements school and library funding for internet and technologies, infrastructure. And so everybody in this room, if you have a cell phone, your cable bill, your telephone bill, every bill that uses any type of service like that, you'll see a charge that says universal access charge, and that's how they fund this. So every school and library in the country has the opportunity to apply for this, and Puerto Rico too. So it's a fund where we get discounts based on our free and reduced lunch status and enrollment.
Mary, thank you very much for asking
Yeah.
that question. I felt embarrassed to ask that question.
Oh.
Because I did not know what it was.
Yeah, we were whispering, trying to figure it out, and we could
Well,
not
so
figure it
thank
out.
you.
If anybody wants to learn anything more about E-rate, I gave a very brief description of it. I used to do a full-blown presentation that would be probably about 30-45 minutes sometimes. And I'd have pretty much everybody at the board table asleep by the time I'd get done. So I just do the quick rendition. If you ever want to learn anything more, just let me know.
Any other questions? All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job, Nick.
Eric again.
Okay, so we move down to financial business, budget, income and expenses. Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, sir. D1 is just giving you the monthly fund balance, or what you could call a treasurer's report with a budget status update. And then number 2 is the purchase orders and bills for payment. That's for general fund and cafeteria fund. We did have a couple questions from some board members. We answered those questions, which we typically do, and we always appreciate them ahead of time. Of course, if you have them at the meeting, that's fine as well. But anytime you can send us a question ahead of time, it gives us a little time to do the research on it, which we appreciate that. So.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the purchase orders and bills for payment as listed.
Move to.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
I'm
You're
close.
welcome.
No, you're good.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments?
No question, but a comment in the purchase orders. There is, you'll see one from Mr. Keith McCrae. I believe that is going to be reimbursed by an EITC grant that he received. Again, just to highlight the work that Mr. McCrae does, he is a multiple year award winner of an EITC grant, and essentially he's using these to help elementary school students, I believe, learn coding, and there are little robots that can move around, and so the students code and teach the robots to move around. So even though you see that as an expense item, that is a grant that he has kind of led the way with. And so just kind of to highlight the work that our teachers are doing, and in particular, Mr. McCrae for that. So.
Right, so all those, any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, so now we move to Clayton. Cabinet comments.
I could say briefly, we did receive the vans finally. Remember the ones we ordered about 8-9 months ago?
Oh.
3 years ago, something like that. I shouldn't joke about that, because we're the company that provided them is the same company we actually bought the previous van for about 3 years ago. And they're about the only one that's even providing a service right now. So we do appreciate them. So they came down and delivered those vans yesterday. So it was very nice of them. And then we also received the Family Consumer Science cabinets yesterday. So they'll be going through the install process as well. So thanks to I believe all of a sudden the truck showed up and we were staffed and ready to unload that truck very quickly. And I think we actually had a couple students from high school gym class with permission, and with their volunteer, they came in and helped us unload the truck. So that was very kind of them. So thank you.
Okay. Any other? Yes.
Yeah, so we do have kindergarten registration coming up March 13th through 17th. I believe Mrs. McBaron had sent out an email indicating if any board members would like to help out with that as well. And I did neglect to mention, I can't remember the title, but the middle school just had their play this past weekend. What was the title again?
Something in the hills.
Into the hills.
Into the hills.
Okay, so we want to congratulate our middle school students for their performance as well.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Time for board.
Board comments, yes.
Okay.
Moving to board comments, yes.
I actually wrote some things down so I would remember them. Okay, first of all, I do want to thank our committees. With the change in top administration, I think it's a time to say that we've been doing the committees for 7 years? And a tremendous amount of work goes into what we do on every other Tuesday night in our committees. And I think, like, particularly facilities was very successful this year, because I think we got to go to every single school. And when we say, okay, so Mrs. Everhart might say, I need a new curtain, or like, yeah, a curtain. Okay, that's not that important until you see the curtain, or like carpet at I don't know, whoever's like a Maori. You have to see it and so anyway, going to each school was I think was a real plus. And I just wanted to say that I know that that committees take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but I just want to appreciate the time and effort that all our board people put into it. second, the middle school play was really, really good. It was Friday night and Saturday morning, and the kids were adorable. They took it so seriously, and it was fun. It was just a fun play with a lot of kids involved. And, you know, you get to look at the talent that's coming up for the high school, which brings me to the high school play, which is Matilda, the all-school production. The marketing and fundraising committee is Dr. Royer and Emily Dickey and me. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Royer, even though I didn't tell her that, so she can talk about the she can talk about the reception,
Oh,
the
sure.
tea.
Sure. So the fundraising, I talked to, oh my gosh, what's Claire's last name? Martin. I spoke to Claire Martin, last night on the phone, and the fundraising was very successful. At this point, all expenses have been covered. She's very happy about that. You know, looking to maybe do a less expensive play. This was an expensive play, for them to do this year. They are going to be giving out free tickets to students. It is Saturday night. For every adult that comes, it'll get a free student ticket. So this should be a big one for students to. So, but on Saturday from 2 to 4, we're hosting a meet the cast. I don't know if I don't think we're really calling it a tea because we're having lemonade with gummy.
From Matilda, yeah.
Yes, gummy worms and chocolate cake.
And chocolate cake.
Yes, so if you all recall the scene where the little boy ate the whole cake. So we will be having that from Saturday from 2 to 4. The cast will be in costumes. They'll be able to do autographs, talk to the kids. And we're going to be advertising that. Dr. Sterner is going to help out. She's now on the committee.
That this Saturday or the Saturday of the
Saturday of
production?
play.
Saturday.
Yeah,
of the
Saturday of
okay.
play.
Okay.
And we're going to get it into your elementary buildings, into your social. Really promote it over the next.
Okay, I'm not done. Yeah. So the other thing is, it would really be nice to have drama clubs. I remember being in drama clubs in middle school and high school. And it would be really nice. I'm not really sure how, you know, get people interested in that, but those kids really do enjoy this. They really, really do. That's just
Yeah, I think there is one.
Yeah,
I saw that at the high school.
this is Dr. McCallum's texting me. Yeah, just go to the mic,
He's
yeah.
retired.
She's texting me, like, she's like, I thought it was a theater arts club. And I thought we have a theater arts club.
So we do have a drama club.
Okay.
The advisor resigned at the beginning of the school year. No one took it up. But also there was no students that were beating down my door, where's drama club? Miss Martin did send me a proposal to transition to like an honor society. So Dr. Sternerheim and I have explored some things with that, but we haven't made, it needs to go through the academic committee. I'm not 100% sure if it's the same, like if it would be the same bylaws, because I think it's on par with like National Art Honor Society. So we would need to follow the normal protocol for that. But yeah, we want to have that. We just don't have it right this second.
I'd love to see it at the middle school too, to get kids involved, because I really do think that theater can build. I think it build a lot in kids. All right, and the last thing I want to talk about is music in our schools, which just blew me away, with 448 kids on the stage, below the stage, around the stage. And yet they were so well behaved. I did not see anything with all those kids in one place. It just blew me away. And the whole auditorium was filled, really filled.
And the balcony.
Yeah, and the balcony.
And everyone was extremely nice, very positive, quiet. There wasn't, I mean, I'm used to like the dance reciters where people are getting up, walking out and making noise. It wasn't like that. It was so well done. Oh, and how cute everybody looked in their black and white. It was just really well done. And I want to say, you know, kudos to our music staff.
Absolutely.
High school, middle school, elementary schools, they were all there. They were all in charge. Really a nice job.
I'll add on to that, Cindy. The elementary kids performed first. So then they had to sit up there through the whole
middle school and high school. And you're right, they were really well behaved. And then one of the funny thing was at a break between the elementary kids, one of the elementary kids sneezed. And about half of the kids went, bless you. Some of the audience laughed because, yeah, so it was a great night of.
It was
music.
a really nice community event because so many parents, well, families, not necessarily parents, but families were there supporting their kids.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen that auditorium full.
It was
It
unbelievable.
was really full.
It was like,
I was at a
there
music
was
in our school a couple
virtually
years ago and it
a
was
seat
packed.
here and there, and that's about it.
And I'll just add, Cindy, I think it's interesting, you know, our elementary, all our music teachers work incredibly hard. But interestingly enough, you know, we took Noah, who's now 10, and he came home from school the next day with a permission slip for chorus.
Oh,
And actually 6 of his friends decided they were going to join chorus. So I think that's kind of neat that, you know, if it can increase, you know, the love of music, which is what the senior high, you know, director and Dr. McCallum stressed, that that's really, you know, kind of the purpose of it. So it works.
even though I couldn't hear you, a word that you said, I know that you're always extremely well prepared and you present publicly really well.
Yeah, we would like to look into that mic, Dr. Stern.
Yeah. Was that just?
I could. Yeah, it worked towards the end. Like we knew it wasn't working because Dr. Deshawn and I were standing by her. We could tell it wasn't working. Now, ironically, you had indicated you had some difficulty hearing. Now I was up in
I
the
was
balcony
very, very back of
and
the.
I could hear it. The balcony was not an issue, but yeah, we can definitely look into that.
Ah.
The operator soundboard,
Person operating this.
user error. We'll address that then. Okay, great. Thank you.
Right. Any other board members have anything to say?
Just a quick thing for our seniors. I know a lot of scholarship deadlines have passed, but this is actually the season where I think the majority, like, you know, mid-March, late March are when a lot of the scholarship application deadlines pass. And so there's always a lot of scholarships out there. So I would really encourage our seniors to take advantage of that. Especially with, if you have picked a school, sort of thing, there's still a little bit more work to do. And unfortunately, the cost of further education only goes up. But there's also thankfully a lot of opportunities and very gracious companies, businesses, nonprofits, and people out there that are willing to fund scholarships. And so I just encourage, I think the high school does a great job with that scholarship page. Sort of thing, but there's also more out there, sometimes even at that university that you pick. So I would just encourage that as you know, we want, as obviously with the first choice to get, you know, wherever you want to go, but there's also that added challenge of having to pay for it. So, you know, just encourage them to take at least a look at it. And even if you think that you might not get it, it's okay to apply. I can't tell you how many things I applied for and didn't get. But it's also, if you don't apply for it, you're never going to get it, sort of thing. So definitely encourage our seniors to apply for scholarships out there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mark, for mentioning that. That's really important. Now they have like all kinds of tools like apps where you can actually apply for scholarships and they make it pretty easy for you, you know, so take advantage of that. I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what Mrs. Sullivan mentioned about committees. Once again, committees are open to those meetings are open to the public. So the public is invited to come and share that and give their input on anything they're interested in, whether it's policies, committees, facilities. It's open to the budget.
Budget is budget.
Oh, it's really not.
And last thing I was saying,
An academic.
an academic, yes. And as you can tell, this board, we're huge supporters of the arts, and that's a great thing. And the last thing, I just wanted to thank Dr. Sternheim and everyone who was involved in the board appreciation dinner earlier this evening. Very delicious board appreciation dinner tonight. And our jazz band students who provided the entertainment this evening. You know, it was nice of them to come out and spend their time. They didn't have to spend their time entertaining us this evening. So we really appreciate that on behalf of the board. And so before we go to adjournment, after adjournment, we will be going to executive session for personnel matter. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
And will not return.
And will not return. Yes.
So-
So there's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.